Here we go. We are queuing up. This is Pat Roque, Leadership and Career Transformation Coach, here with Alexandra Hoffman. Welcome to LinkedIn Live. We are here chatting about easy work solutions because my sister Alexandra here is on the other side of the pond. We are truly a global team working collaboratively because we're solving problems every day. And our group's been working together for about the last 6 months or so, meeting every single Friday, sharing ideas, sharing challenges. And we realized that so many folks around the world are facing similar problems that we decided to bring it out in the open, talk about it, and help problem solve. So Alexandra, please say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Pat, for this live session on LinkedIn. This is the first, as far as I'm concerned, so it's very cool to do that. And I'm also very excited to be doing this think tank with you and 13 other experts, if I'm right. So basically, yes, I am based in France, and what we do with my company is that we help crisis management teams and leaders thrive through crisis. Crisis management has been my job personally for 20 years. And when I set up my company, I decided to really focus on this topic. And in the past year or so, when the COVID crisis happened, then I kept on hearing the same problems, which is that crisis management teams and leaders are facing huge struggles to face the crisis because they're basically concerned what's going on when there's a new crisis and a new crisis and a new crisis, because crises never stop. And this is very unusual for organizations to be facing a crisis that's so long. So it's really using a lot of their energy, I would say, and it's very concerning, basically. You know, whether you are a head of HR, a head of legal, a head of health and safety, a head of security, a head of travel security, you've been dealing with a crisis for a year, and it's a challenge, I would say, to say the least, right?
It is. We're hearing words like exhausted, depleted, overwhelmed, right? I found an article that was talking about people actually feeling frozen, that they have what Fast Company article called it pandemic paralysis. And I don't mean physical paralysis, although it sure feels that way sometimes. But literally, we have been under such duress, and it's the first time, Alexandra, tell me if I'm wrong, in a really long time, probably in our lifetime, where folks all over the planet, from the C-suite to the security guard at the front gate and everyone in between, and all our families as well around the globe, have actually worried about the same problem at the same time. So we're all on, I don't even want to say equal footing, because doesn't it feel sometimes like it's equal quicksand? And so, right?
Yeah, no, so, truly. And it's, I don't know if it's a lifetime, you know, but crises like this are very rare, and it's fortunate, I would say, you know, because having so many people impacted at the same time at once all over the world. But I would say maybe we needed this, right, to wake us up. And because a lot of my peers in my industry see this as an opportunity to do things differently, and to innovate and to create new ways of dealing with crisis, to deal with crisis in a much more holistic way. I was actually having a really good conversation with one of my peers yesterday, who's actually doing this as well. And he's been in the industry for 40 years, I would say. Maybe he's listening to me and he would kill me, but maybe it's shorter than that, but I think it's a long time. So yeah, it's an opportunity to innovate and do things differently, I would say. So, yeah.
So let me ask you something. When you say crisis, tell me what that word encompasses, because it's not just the virus, the physical threat. Help me understand, help the audience understand a little bit about what, if they're thinking, if they've recognized something that you would be a person to turn to, what kinds of crisis are you talking about?
Crisis can be anything. Really, if we really narrow it down, it's just a disruptive event. So here it's a health crisis, but it can be a financial crisis. It can be a security crisis, or a fire at a manufacturing plant. This is, so some would say, when we say crisis, just bear with me, it can be an incident, an emergency, a crisis, a catastrophe. There are many, many different words that we can use to talk about a disruptive event. But the bottom line is that it's a disruptive event. You have business as usual, and then suddenly something happens. And business as usual is not possible anymore. You have to adjust to this. Sometimes it takes a short amount of time to adjust and just to go back to what it used to be. And sometimes it takes much longer, okay, depending on what's going on, whether it's a health crisis, a financial crisis, sometimes something like this happens. But the point is, we tend to think we'll go back to what it used to be, but the longer it gets, the less likely it is that we'll go back to what it used to be. And that's also a tendency we have, is we expect things to go back the way they were before the disruptive event, when it can never be the case. So it's just a lot of things to consider, when we talk about this, when we use this word, and to factor in, it can be a lot of things. It can be a human crisis. It can, the definitions is endless. The only thing that will vary is the scope of it. Okay. So if we talk about our clients, typical clients, corporate level, you can have a local event, disruptive event, that doesn't blow the whole company, right? But then you can have a regional event that have much more impact, and then you can have a global event like what's going on with the COVID, which has an impact on the entire company. Depending on the scope of the event, this is where you can use different words, but this is also how you structure and organize yourself to react to it differently, basically.
Right. And so if you're just thinking about crisis management with a fire hose, you're probably a little bit too late. There's still things you can do and you're the person to call. However, part of true leadership, I believe, is being as proactive as possible. So I think that folks like us will get called in often, right? When do people put their hand in their pocket, virtually or literally, to pay someone new, to bring some new expertise onto the team? The two moments typically are pain or promise. So there's an explosion, a crisis, literal, figuratively, or both. Right? So they were looking for you to problem solve, or they want help with maximizing an opportunity to grow and capitalize on it as fast as they possibly can. If everything was status quo, they knew what was going on, they had it under control, they had the people in place, things were working, there would be no pain. That's kind of that comfort zone in between. It's not broken, so they don't need to fix it, or so they think. Mm-hmm. It's almost like I've got friends in cybersecurity and the IT space, and it's interesting because I do a lot of work with them on the language, communicating the need for what they do, because their best success is when everything is quiet. No news is good news. And you need to remind people why and where the value comes in for having services, so that you're protected and that things stay quiet, right? You don't want events to bubble up.
And what you just brought up is a huge point in what we do, Pat, because no news is good news. So many of our constituents, internal customers or external customers, don't know much about what we do because things are quiet, which is a good thing. Then something happens and they all have to play by, whatever we've put in place, when for most of the time it's very rare that things happen, right? So people are not used to that. They're not used to reacting. So all of your cybersecurity friends and all of the other peers, doing incident or crisis management in the industry, it's all about making sure that people don't lose the habits of facing those changes, and facing those disruptive events. It takes a lot of education and training and awareness. That's also why it's a huge part of what we do now. It's because awareness and training is really big, is in our industry, to
absolutely
to make them proactive.
Absolutely. And we've got some live audience. People, feel free to add comments or ask questions. We've got one of our LinkedIn friends saying no news is good news in project management as well. If we do it properly, there is very little pain that shows true value. So perhaps we're brought in to manage projects and curtail the pain, right? Shorten it, keep it down, keep it minimal. And then going forward, have status quo so that it just runs smoothly. A well-oiled machine, right? First, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The issue that's exploding literally or figuratively is what we address, but then it's about keeping things calm, smooth, and being more proactive to get out ahead in front of situations. And it's interesting because I've had my business 33 years. And one of the things I wanted to say is that I've been working remotely since 1988. I had a car accident. I put my head through a windshield. I was 23 years old. I was not well enough to go physically sit behind a desk. Back then, nobody had tolerance for anything. So you couldn't go to your boss and say, oh, I don't feel good. They didn't care. There was little protection. So basically, my boss said, kid, I know you're awesome and I know you're not feeling well. Hang a shingle and I'll feed you business. And it worked. And he paid my mortgage basically for the first probably 8 years of my company, which is fabulous. But I actually did my master's thesis at age 40, went into corporate, and I did my thesis on best practices for virtual teams. Ready? Spring '01, we published before 9/11. And so we've been helping problem solve for individuals and teams, the why and the how remote work works before the towers fell in New York, before the Pentagon was hit, before the world had bombings all over the place. And so that was a landmark because I was doing distance learning and formal education online and a global spokesperson for e-learning and virtual teams before anybody knew that we needed them. And so my daughter is a doctor at Johns Hopkins, and it's funny because she is not in our business at all. And she said to me, you know what, Mommy, you're really built for this. She said, I'm watching everybody freak out and people are so scared and worried. And you're in your zone of genius, helping everyone stay calm, stay cool, stay organized, and be okay with the fact that we don't have as many answers as we're used to thinking we have, and being humble about that and being resilient. And so through the financial crisis of 08, 09, and now this pandemic, there's some very common traits that are happening. So for folks that are just looking at this as this first time their apple cart has toppled over, I've been through this a long time, and I wanted to share something really fun when we talk about, you know, the dinosaur. We've been doing this a while. Literally 1988, I was 24 years old when I started my business. And here's a little throwback. This is a fun one. Look at, this is Cosmo. That is not me. Look at the hairdo then. This is April 1991, Cosmopolitan magazine. And I was featured in a 6-page article. Can you see that? Do you like my hair?
Yes.
Isn't that great?
This is brilliant, Pat. This is brilliant.
Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. Big hair, don't care. And the thing says, Patricia Nuno, my maiden name, keeping business booming. My company, my founding company name is Business Boomers because I'm born in 64. I'm the youngest boomer, right? And nobody was running businesses. It wasn't like today where there's kids running businesses. I was the youngest. So it says, the secret to success is loving what you do and making every day a special event, according to Business Boomers president, Patricia Nuno. That's me. Despite today's tough economy, the 27-year-old entrepreneur's enthusiasm has been well received. Her promotional marketing and event planning company tripled its activity in 1990, and the phone has not stopped ringing. So funny because so much of what we talk about now, 30 years later, comes in so handy because I realized after 10 years in pharma and being successful and losing a couple of jobs, having a definitely nonlinear path, that my gift and my perspective in this crisis that we're going through is really helping with the employee engagement piece. helping individuals figure out what the heck am I supposed to do with my career and my life, because I didn't bet on this horse. Who knew this was coming, right? Or how do I explain myself now that I've been out of work, perhaps? Or we get a lot of calls from companies who said we laid off some and now we've promoted our mid-level managers, except these mid-level managers were never given training. They're now going from buddy to boss. So I was your peer, Alexandra, and now tomorrow, Monday morning when we come back, I'm your boss. How do we shift the dynamic? How do we speak together? How do we share information? How do we stay productive and communicating well and cohesive and collaborative? And so it's so funny what's old is new again, watching the trends that have bubbled up, but that's what's happening. So the phone's ringing off the hook for employee engagement in my piece of this puzzle, our 15 experts, because companies are saying people are depleted, they're exhausted. We can't keep talking about how tired they are. They need your energy to talk about what they can and should be doing to realign their skills and figure out their transferable skills. Because whose job description, January 2020 said, pandemic leader? No one. And what you just said was really, really smart. There is such change, we've had to now stop. And if we're really paying attention, there are gifts hidden in all of the rubble. There are gifts and treasures and learning that we can be taking. I'm going to read a Facebook quote, and then I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit more about those gifts, okay? So we have someone who said, I believe crisis needs the expert, but if management are switched on, crisis events should already be built into the system. Yes.
Oh, yes, that's the point.
Absolutely true. Go ahead, Alexandra. That's you, babe. Go right ahead.
No, that's definitely the point. It should be built in the system. That's totally it, right? It's interesting because I actually wrote that like an hour ago. It should be built in the system. But there's this brain bias that we all have, which is confirmation bias. If we've never gone through a crisis ourselves, we'll tend to think that everything will be a peaceful journey with no crisis at all. And a lot of, I would say, leaders do not prepare accordingly because they think everything is going to be okay and everything will be according to plan, and also that everything can be handled. The thing is, no one expected something that big to happen. And I think the biggest opportunity we have with this crisis is not only to realize that we need to be proactive, not because we are risk averse or because we become scared of everything, but I think we just have a responsibility to be prepared, because there are jobs at stakes, because there are companies at stakes, because there are people's lives at stake, whatever the level we work at, right? I spent 18 years in the corporate sector, and when we would deal with incidents and disruptive events of all sorts, sometimes that would literally hit people in manufacturing plants. These guys and ladies, they work for the companies sometimes for 40 years. As CEO, we have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that they keep their job no matter what, right? At least to the best of our abilities. And I think crisis management is all about this. Make sure, and is all about this. And the going back to the opportunity is that I think what this crisis has showed us, like this person who shared the first comment on the live about project management, we basically see that we all face the same questions and challenges. So instead of thinking in silos, instead of thinking security, because that's my background, instead of thinking HR, or instead of thinking health and safety or whatever else, we're just facing all the same problems all together. So like you and all of and I and the 13 other experts were just bringing our power and our energy to try and help and support our clients. This is exactly what should be done internally in corporations. And I know many people say that's what we do. We talk among each other. We have business meetings day in and day out, from 9 to 7 every day. Is it really what's going on? Is it really about silo breaking? Is it really about finding solutions to move in the same direction? And this is really what crisis management comes down to. It's about, we have a crisis, we are on the same boat, and let's try to make this not to be the Titanic, basically.
Right. Or it's like the duck, right? Above water, it
Yeah.
looks smooth and eloquent. Oh my God, say that 2 times fast. Sorry. And underneath, frenetically paddling away as fast as it can. So what we want to do is give grace and ease and resilience to the story. And the word resilience, I'll share a little bit about that. I host, and many of us do, we host executive roundtables. We are part of a team. There's 15 of us, and we are the Easy Work Solutions think tank. Our group collaborates. We meet every Friday for 6 months now and literally share resources, brainstorm, and sharpen the sword together. So we are troubleshooting, we're problem solving, we're comparing notes, we're working cross industry and cross specialization. And any given day, we'll get a message that says, hey, I've got a client who needs help with XYZ. And 4 people raise their hand. So you're never alone in your quest. So as an entrepreneur, we are power in numbers because we're all nimble and we're all working remotely. And yet we have the power of, I believe our average is about 20 years plus experience. This is a seasoned veteran team of leaders who have the battle scars to prove it, and who are really putting our heads together and thinking out loud and working smarter and being streamlined and nimble in helping. So we do these executive roundtables, and I'll share a little bit about what that means and why. So we've been getting together and sharing as thought leaders. And so we host our corporate clients to come in, our existing clients and new friends, but decision makers. And they could be heads of human resource, heads of security, CIO, CEO, C-suite, people in charge of people who are impacting thousands of lives, millions of lives, decision-making power. And we
I would add head of resilience as well. It's a big thing in the industry and in corporations.
And there's more new titles coming out every day. So head of resilience, chief, is it CRO? My husband's in finance, and that's chief restructuring officer, but chief resilience officer. There's new facets of the diamond. Every organization is getting more complicated, and yet more important to be able to keep it clean, easy, and streamlined. So we're addressing those things. We are bringing folks together to address issues. I did one, I'll share a little story. I did one on Gender Parity Day. Forbes and EY, the consulting firm, did a live event for thousands of people on Gender Parity Day in March. And I hosted my executive roundtable that afternoon, shortly after. I used it almost as a book club, right? So we watched the Forbes EY, got the data from them, and then I scribbled notes and I threw a few up on the additional slides. And then we had a roundtable to talk about it. And what we decided in our small group was that gender parity and the issues around helping women rise, there's a SHE-Cession, right? Now, women have fallen out of the workforce in dramatic epidemic numbers, like back to 1987. We've lost 30 years of progress. But like you said, that creates a crisis in so many facets. That creates economic, social, political, family crisis, community health crisis, caregiving, education crisis. It impacted so much. And so the word that bubbled up, we literally live in the middle of this roundtable shifted from gender parity to workplace resilience, because unanimous vote that was that apex, the top of the pyramid of where we felt all the other issues and challenges bubbled up. And so when we think about resilience, that then led us to looking at the data. EY said that was the #1 place that they were able to move the needle and implement programs and watch quantifiable change, not just quality of life or quality of work, qualitative change, but quantifiable change as well. And so when we come back to our Friday noon meetings, right, and share, or 11 o'clock, whatever, our Friday meetings together, we were finding patterns in all of this. And so from that shared learning, We're now hosting them once a month, twice a month. Everybody runs their schedule and bringing back collective knowledge. And from that, our Easy Work Solutions think tank was born. And so together, 15 of us have collaborated. And the URL to sign up is streaming across the bottom. It's www.easythinktank.com. But it's really you, me, 15 of us all together, seasoned veteran experts. And we are breaking it down. So May 17th to 20th. On the 17th, it's the engagement team talking about all different facets of employee engagement, how to attract, retain, and keep happy the right kinds of people, because that is a major challenge. You know, diversity and inclusion now is about belonging, not just tolerating. Okay, Alexandra, you can sit at the table, but sit in the corner and keep quiet, just nod politely. You know, like the pat on the head. Okay, little girl, just be quiet. Those days are gone. We want everyone to have a valid, valued seat at the table, true belonging, because the differences, in our opinion, our experience, are what makes us better, right? So it's how do we address engagement issues? And then the next day, it's about 5 experts talking about adaptability. How do we stay resilient? What are the tools and the techniques that we are each seeing in our respective individual companies and across organizations, and sharing ideas? And then on the next day, Wednesday, it will be about scaling and systems. So success has to be duplicable, repeatable, right? How do we measure it? And how do we repeat it? And how do we tweak? So we're only tweaking one thing and we know what works and we can grow. We're supposed to fail fast, right? The idea is not to be perfect and never make mistakes. The idea is identify what works in a process and a framework, and then apply it so that it works through crisis or not. And so 3 days of experts on those five experts each on those topics. And then on the 20th, which is a Thursday, we are going to have live executive roundtable where our friends, our guests, our clients are invited to join us live. Literally, we're going to teach people how to use a new tool. It's not brand new, but a cool tool called AirMeet. And they will be invited. They'll be showed how to use it, and they can come and sit and travel against the tables and talk with us and other peers who've been joining us during the week. And we've had folks from pharma companies, McDonald's is signed up. We've got some really heavy hitter companies already excited about this. And you're going to be able to have a chance to sit at the round table with experts, both our 15 experts and peers from other organizations, and to brainstorm and think tank and to have a set of go-to resources. There is no pitching, no selling. There will be no offers made. It's not that. It's not one of those sell-a-thon, you know, you just keep waiting for the sales pitch kind of thing where people skim the top and don't give value. Don't you hate them? I hate them. Hate them. So this will be exactly
we have to serve. We have to serve and support each other. That's the athlete. That's what I'm doing it. You know, I'm not going to speak about the other experts in the room, but the reason I'm doing it is really about serving and supporting each other, because that's another thing that this crisis has showed us, is that the only way to thrive and to recover from this is literally to support each other, and strongly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the spirit. I think that's what attracted us all to one another from the beginning, is that collaboration, that go-giver spirit, right? We're very much what we call servant leaders. All of this is volunteer. No one is sponsoring and paying us to do this. We are all doing it because we feel compelled that it's the right thing to do, and it's what's needed now, because we've heard so many cries for help that you're inviting your clients. I'm inviting we're all inviting all of our friends, all of our lists, our LinkedIn communities, our Facebook communities. The door is wide open. And all we want people to do is to walk away feeling more confident that they have trusted resources. So someone could come to you if they're your client and say, Alexandra, I now realize you've actually got a deep bench. We call it a bench. You can call it whatever you want, but your
Partners.
team is,
We can call it partners.
yeah, your team of partners is amazing. So I actually have my colleague in human resources or sales training or wherever that needs some additional support. And I'd never thought about you for that because it's not officially a crisis management topic, but can you help us with this?
Yeah.
And now they've met your colleagues. They've heard our vibe, you know, how we roll and the way we approach things. Everybody's got a different style and flavor. We've got ultra conservative. We've got experts on being an introvert.
Yeah.
Communication for introverts. We've got experts on emotional intelligence. We have experts on business strategy, cybersecurity, crime,
communication.
physical. How about
there's
business?
Cheryl about communication. There's
All of
so
it.
many topics. So many topics.
Physical crime in the workplace and security from the personal perspective to cyber to emotional to making sure that your team, you and your team, are facing the new challenges that are inevitably coming. There is a lot of companies, right? We heard took the word normal out of their vocabulary, out of their advertising, off their websites. The word normal is being removed by organizations. That's a new thing because we've now learned that there is almost no such thing as normal. Who's to say what normal is? We don't really hear a lot of post-pandemic because I don't think we'll ever be able to unsee the things we've seen and learned. We will get ahead of it and we will get better and smarter about dealing with it. And we will hopefully, God willing, be able to continue to mitigate the problems and become healthier again as a global community and get back to being more out there and interacting live in person. Certainly, absolutely. And we've got experts contributing to that too. But together, all ships rise with the tide so that corporate decision makers have trusted resources. They will have access. So we're not only going to be doing these half-hour interviews, each of us is being interviewed or interviewing someone else. So they'll get to know us in little half-hour trainings. And then we each have an expert website. We have, you and I and all of us have put in a ton of time to make sure that there are resources for auditory learners, that there's video if you prefer to listen and learn that way. We've got our capabilities briefing decks that'll be put in there. We've got recordings of key talks or any different kind of resource. But we just wanted to, again, it's not a sales pitch. It's just to know that you've now got this amazing resource to join us and get to know us, to think about problem solving, to come in with your lists, pay attention to the things going on, invite your colleagues from your organization, right? Because it's not just about you, it's about you and your team problem solving together. And learning that you've got a team who's got your back because we are poised to jump in, hit the deck running, and be able to help drive results because you can't afford to think too long about a lot of these moments. We need to be able to help you take smart, concerted action and drive results. Tweak and learn, tweak and learn, tweak and learn, but starting right now. Did I miss anything? Tell me, did I miss anything? What's the most fun part about doing this? What do you think someone would enjoy coming to it? Yeah, tell me. Why should Bob Smith or Mary Jones come and join us? What's the most engaging or fun part about all of this?
To me, the most engaging part is to see so many different players around the same table. I think this is really the cool one, the cool part of this. So many summits I've seen and heard of or even signed up for, it's all about the same topic. I think what we're doing is pretty amazing because we bring diversity, and I know again, like resilience, it's like the word that's become the most overrated word in the world over the past month. But this is about diversity because it's a diverse world, it's a diverse planet, it's a diverse organizations. Within organizations, we have people of very diverse background, experience, expertise. whether it's hard skills, soft skills, whatever. And what I think is really cool about what we do, what we'll bring to the table next week, is that we showcase that diversity. We basically walk the talk. That's as simple as that. And when it comes to facing whatever we call it, change, conflict, crisis, incident, disruptive event, whatever word we want to call this, I think diversity is really the number one key. So yeah, that makes us way stronger.
I agree. And I will add that it hasn't always been easy. I have ADD, put it out there, right? So I might not look like I have a challenge, but if I were an amputee and you saw only one leg or only one arm, that would be a visible cue that I might do things differently. I hate the word handicap. That is not part of my vocabulary any longer. And I'm on the board of a group for adaptive golfers, and it's folks with different abilities, not disabilities, right? But when you think about it, and I even look at my own career path, I was remote because I needed to be, and it was not something that was blessed and sanctioned by companies. So part of why I had to become an entrepreneur was because nobody wanted to put up with someone with health issues, and or my son went in a coma, had meningitis, was 13-month-old baby in a coma, and I had he was supposed to be dead, deaf, blind, crippled. He lived, he thrived, but he was in all kinds of therapy 7 days a week for probably 10 years. So being a special needs mom of a special needs child, like your whole family takes on issues.
Yeah.
One person does not alone have cancer. If there's cancer, your family is working and dealing and living and growing and learning through it, right? And so when we look at the diversity of thought and the diversity of the group, there's a lot behind the scenes that we've paid attention to. So folks that are dealing with mental wellness issues, May's Mental Health Awareness Month. So for example, we're doing a lot in our organizations to address that. We've got a lot of family dynamic issues that are happening behind the scenes. We've got all different kinds of people that are learning in different ways, people that are from different socioeconomic situations. We are problem solving around the globe, up and down, across all different kinds of people, all different kinds of organizations, right? We've got folks helping nonprofits who are caring for, people in homeless shelters and helping families in crisis get back on their feet. It's everything from that to the educational system, to the environmental system, to all of it. So we really are, when we say diverse, it's not only just the faces you see, but
it's everything, because
what we've put into it, 30 years or 20 years a piece, what we've put into it, the blood, sweat, and tears, the case studies, the things we've learned, and our collaborative and collective teams. Because even with us, there's 15 experts, and we've all got power and exponential resources to really help companies through whatever comes their way or whatever they're struggling with. And I know that when we start getting those phone calls, and literally companies are asking for the same exact thing every other day, I have 5 events in the next week. It's crazy. And 3 of them have asked for the same thing. There is a pattern. Not because it's the only thing I do. It's because they're starting to recognize folks are going back, maybe going back to work. And the fact that they don't know, right? So what are we seeing in the workplace? Companies have offered early retirement or buyouts or packages. So there's been a lot of house cleaning. We've seen a lot of change in leadership. True?
Yeah.
Right?
Very much. Yeah.
That's happening. Companies are trying to set up policies of how do we navigate. I don't want to call it return to work, because we've actually been working probably harder than we were before. Not, the benefits of working remotely, but also learning how to set better boundaries when we don't know. We don't know what the transportation system will be like. We don't know what the schooling system will be like. We don't know what our buildings will and won't allow. So no matter what our company wants to do, there's so many things out of our control. We just had here, I don't know if you have it there, but there was some bad crisis situation. We now have a gas shortage. There's no gasoline again. Yes.
Wow, nice.
Yes. The gas lines are around the block, and gas stations in where I live have no gas.
Mhm.
So people were not going to fly. They were going to start driving to get away and do things. And now there's a gas crisis and they're told, don't get in your car unless you absolutely have to. So
Yeah.
even the back to work.
That's why back to work doesn't make sense to me, especially when we see that in many, many countries, still, including Europe, some places in Asia, okay, the crisis, the health crisis itself is far from being over.
Right.
So if we're talking to global corporations, yes, they may have a headquarter in a country where things are settling down, but what's going on in the rest of the world? You're not going to be able to set up some, I would say, new rules or standards, whatever we want to call this, for just one country. We have to take into consideration the entire group, or if we do a case-by-case approach, then it's a bit tedious. You know, the organizations I was working for, it's not a secret. You know, it's on my LinkedIn. It was like Hewlett Packard, Lafarge, Avon Products, Philips Lighting. Hundreds of thousands of employees. If you start doing case by case, well, you might as well hit your head against the wall, right? So you have to consider what's going on around the entire world at the moment. And I don't think the back to work is realistic at this point.
Well, look what Beate said. So Beate, part of our wonderful think tank, said, so true, the problems are huge. So we have what is now called probably back to work. Or maybe not.
Oh, maybe not. Yeah.
Don't know. We really, nobody knows. And when we think we know, even the companies that said, some companies and some states here, I'm in the US, East Coast time, but some of the states are opening up completely. They're lifting restrictions. People can have parties and go back to offices and things. So what happens? They can go back to the office, but there's no gas to put in the cars. So we have to be smarter and think differently. And now that we've seen what is possible, we talked about gifts. I'm going to bring it back around because we're going to be winding down in just a minute. We talked about the gifts and the magic of the blessings we've seen and learned amid all this chaos, right?
Yeah.
It's been rough. I know I've lost many, many loved ones. I had COVID. I got COVID on the anniversary of COVID. Lucky me. I was careful as could be, went a whole year without it and got sick on the anniversary of COVID. It's not pretty. So there's survivor guilt, right? People are guilty that they got sick and took time off. They feel guilty if they didn't get sick. It's just crazy. But I think at the end of the day, the Easy Work Solutions think tank is an opportunity for you, your friends, your clients, your teams, your colleagues. Please come to easythinktank.com, grab a seat. We will have 15 experts, including Alexandra and Beate, myself. We will be showing up. We will be featuring topics on engagement, on adapting, resilience, topics on scaling and systems. And then on Thursday, there will be a live roundtable, virtual roundtable with a tool called AirMeet that some people might find new. But again, one more thing in your toolbox that will make you better at what you do. And we will be coming up with solutions so that we are giving people options. There is zero selling involved. There is not one offer will be made. So Beate said, can you talk about someone should adapt to this and stay flexible? Yes. So at the end of the day, even when we think we have answers, we don't control the weather.
No.
Right? We don't control the weather. We don't control the gas shortage. There are always things beyond our control. But what you can control is confidently having resources, knowing you've got a trusted partner and partners with a team who has your back, who thinks intelligently, who's got the experience to be able to jump in as quickly as possible and assimilate learning, because you don't care about my success with Novartis Pharmaceutical or with Bank of America or Konica Minolta. It's great that I did that, but you care about how that can impact you. What did we learn? What did we see? What has unraveled? where can we shortcut your learning and your profitability and your resilience and keep your team happy and engaged and moving forward? So at the end of the day, we're going to wrap this up in just a minute. I'm going to give you the floor to say your final thoughts, please. But I do want to remind everyone, this is easythinktank.com. Please grab your seat right now and register, because you will not want to miss. You'll have a chance to have all these resources. And on Thursday, so starting Monday the 17th, and then on Thursday the 20th of May, which is next Thursday, you will have a chance to join us live in roundtables, not just our experts, but with other participants from during the week. So you can have a really amazing brainstorming experience. And Alexandra, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
So thank you very much for this live session, Pat. Really, it was fun to chat and to hear your thoughts, to also read the comments from the people listening to us and watching us. So just to go back to one last time to Beata's point, about how to adapt and stay flexible. I think the key thing is all about humility. I was talking about serving and partnering and supporting each other. When we do face a crisis, when something happens, when there is a disruptive event, the reality is, yes, it's hard to strategize. It's hard to project ourselves long term, but maybe that's the point. Maybe we shouldn't, project ourselves so far ahead and think that we can plan for everything. So there might be a lesson behind this. And I think having the whole of us, the 15 of us next week, discuss on various topics, emotional intelligence, the communication, the strategy, adapting, engaging, and all of this. This is all about human stuff, basically. This is what it's all about. And corporations and organizations are made and led by humans. Whatever the level they're at, whatever the job we do, whatever responsibilities we have, we're all humans. And I think the really cool stuff, a thing about what we're going to be doing next week, is that we all come and show each other as humans and talk about humans working with humans, basically. And that's the whole purpose, I think. So yes, sign up for Easy Think Tank. It's easy, and it's going to be a really an amazing event, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, so tonight on Clubhouse, 7 to 8 p.m., it's the Easy Return to Work Solutions is the name of our room. And so you can join us there and live chat with us there as well. So please, it's Clubhouse. My name is Pat Roquet. My handle on Clubhouse is Rock on Success. We'll be on Clubhouse tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. sharing easy return to work solutions. You'll see us live again tomorrow, same time here on LinkedIn. We are doing our best to continue to show up, to be of service to you, just as a resource. There is zero sales pitch. It is just about making sure you are confident and resilient, and that you know that you've got trusted partners who have your back, and we've got depth of partnership. So it's not just that Cheryl, whose message is up there right now, is fabulous. She is helping with video and storytelling, helping people communicate their value. Huge. But every one of us has depth of experience, depth of resources. So together we are an amazing collaborative resource. So again, it's easythinktank.com. We are the Easy Work Solutions Think Tank, a virtual team. We welcome your contribution. We'll see you tonight on Clubhouse, 7 to 8 p.m. We'll be back again on LinkedIn tomorrow. Thank you so much, Alexandra. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. God bless everyone. And stay tuned. Follow Alexandra, myself, Beate Chalette, Cheryl Tan, our team on LinkedIn. You'll see there's posts. Please not just like it, comment and share so that the algorithm gives us some love. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Bye, guys. Bye.